What do you say to people that are married and have different sexual drives?
You have to know that if you go to this person's house, or if you're in the car long enough, or you've gone on that date, you have to know what your boundaries are and you have to stick with them.
Too many people I hear go, oh man, it's inconvenient to move out. It's inconvenient to like put boundaries. And it's like, yeah, cool, of course it is.
I literally had the most innocent mind when it came to sex.
The best sex is in marriage because sex is such a vulnerable thing that as people get to know each other more, the comfort to explore, the comfort to be open is there. Good sex won't make a good marriage, but a good marriage will create good sex. Okay, welcome. It is episode 4, and hopefully today we get to the questions.
Yes.
We talk sex, what's allowed in the bedroom, what's right, what's wrong, what's too far. What do you do? Spice level. And then what do you do if you are, like many people, coming out of a previous marriage, in a new marriage, and what you find is what you thought you worked through is actually still with you. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about also just abuse in a marriage and how do you overcome those things, and a whole bunch of great questions that people, the listeners have asked. And so we're going to get into it.
Let's get into it. So, which question would you like?
We just start one separate just for the sake of it.
Sure, let's do it.
Show the people your best Australian accent.
Okay. G'day, mate. G'day, mate. Can you... You put me on the spot. I can't do it.
Start with no.
Okay, I'm just going to say words. Okay. Wait. Ready? Wait for it.
I'm ready.
Okay. Let me just... Okay. No.
Yeah, that was good.
No.
I like it.
You like
you're
it?
good at it. We didn't give the people much.
No, you put me on the spot.
I did put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well done,
Thanks.
mate.
Well done, mate.
There's something
mate.
not to do. Don't do that.
G'day, mate.
Hey, I think you do pretty well for Americans.
Yeah, that's a really hard accent.
You've always as an Aussie, got to end in an uptone. Unless you're asking a question, you end on a downtone.
Yeah, it's so confusing, but so good.
Oh, really?
I love it. Okay.
Right, that's what we do. All right. Anyway, that was neither here nor there.
Yep.
Questions.
What
have we got? Where are we at? Where are we going?
First question.
Okay.
It's a good one. So what should you do when your partner wants to break up to find themselves, but you still want and think the relationship can last and be fruitful?
Oh, and be fruitful. It's lasting and full of fruit.
So basically, partner wants to split up to go and find themselves, but you still want, the heart wants what it wants.
What do you think?
I think whoever this person is asking the question should run.
Oh.
Full speed. Get out of there.
Well, okay. Which one's running?
Well, the one that wants to stay. Don't you think?
Well, we've had our own moment, kind of like that once.
We did. Let's share.
Yeah.
I did. So,
yeah,
okay.
Odds was ready to break it off.
Early on in our relationship, things were getting pretty rocky, and they were getting super turbulent.
In the last episode, I said I'm not good at reading in between the lines, so I had no idea that we were in any sense of turbulence.
I devised a plan to approach Chris and go, hey, so things aren't working out. I think we need a break.
Yep.
I don't know how long that break will be, but I have every intention of getting back together with you after this break.
Yep.
And what did you say?
I said, yeah, I don't believe in that. I said, if we're going to actually work things out in marriage and we're made to be together, let's just work it out now. If we can't work it out now, then that's done and we're good. And let's just go our separate ways. So if you do want to break up, I'm good.
That was so much nicer now. Back then.
I don't remember. I think I actually did it while playing a violin. I read you a sonnet and I got you flowers.
No.
And I think you took the flowers, stepped on them, broke my
we're
violin.
We're never getting back together again. It's done. We're through. This is finished.
There's no way it was that. The truth is somewhere in the middle of those two things. I believe in the cross-section of truth. Where two stories, cross-section.
Okay.
It definitely, we were in the actual church building. I'm going to be like, it's over.
But that's so.
Get out of here.
Chris Carmona.
It is a bit, but I'm not,
That's what I love about
did
you.
not do that.
Yes.
I did not.
So to be honest, I don't know. If somebody's into you and they want to be with you, but they want to break it off because they want to go find themselves, don't you think that's a red flag?
I don't know. Yeah.
Unless they're like, okay, let's put this on pause. I'm going to go work on myself because I want this, but I'm going to give you my word that you're the person I want to be with, and perhaps forever, but I'm going to go.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
I need to like pump the brakes here and go work on myself.
I'm finding that my usual black and white nature on some of these questions doesn't exist, because I feel like I've seen it where some people, they go find themselves and there's some good merit.
They find themselves with somebody else.
They do find themselves with someone else. Oh, really? Is that where you find yourself, eh?
Yeah.
Someone else's arms.
I think it's a cop-out. It's a cop-out to get out.
It is a cop-out sometimes.
It's a cop-out.
Sometimes, this is what I would say. You've got to get some discernment, a read on the situation, even if it's not even Christian discernment,
Yes.
very holy. But outside of even discernment, like get a read. And are they running? Like you've got to know that. You've got to know, are they just trying to get out? Is this an out? Or is this genuine? And I think you've got to decide that. I would put a time limit on it for sure.
That's good.
I mean, yeah, I would say this. That's cool, go, but I may or may not be here when you come back.
That's what you said to me.
That's what.
Those were the exact words.
Funny, I still would say it. I would still
there he
say
is,
it now.
everyone.
42 years, and I'd still say it. It's like, what am I going to do? Go find yourself. No,
Yeah, I get it.
You find yourself, you might not find me again.
Yeah. Amen. Okay, moving on.
That's my thoughts.
So this is a big one. So healing after experiencing trauma from abusive relationship. How can you unlearn all the unhealthy mentalities and heal the trauma so that it's not brought into the relationship God has for you?
Man, that's huge. I know you're reading them, so I'm starting with the answers, but I think you're going to have better ones. I think something that is crucial is at least starting with the awareness that you have a wound. If you've ever hurt yourself and you're walking around the house, you're quite aware that you've cut your hand. And I think going into a relationship with that, and the reason I say that is at the moment, we've got a huge prevailing, elevate the victim, make sure that you have defined between oppressor and oppressed, super woke. And what it does is it's got people putting guards instead of getting healing. They put guards up and they're like, no one will ever come around me. And that's the behavior that might last. And just because something looks like something doesn't mean it is that thing. And I think if you choose to see the world you're in through the pain you came from, you'll always be stuck in the pain you came from. And eventually all you will do to survive is section off safe zones, and relationships and love is not safe. You cannot get into it for safety. Yeah. You've got to get into it for like it's got to be good, safe in maybe a good sense. But at the end of the day, you've got to know that if you've got that awareness, I would try to keep working on your health. I mean, I think you got to keep going and doing the things you got to do, counseling, all the things, and then maybe just make sure you're viewing things through that propensity. Make sure the partner knows that.
Yeah.
Talk through things, and I think that's the best I've got on that.
I think it's going to be really difficult to unlearn unhealthy mentalities if you constantly run to the thing that you're familiar with. Meaning, if you're coming out of an abusive relationship or one that has been super traumatizing, I think innately we gravitate to that and we're attracted to it, or we find ourselves there again. And I think it's important to, you can't run back to that. I think there has to be a distinction between your past and your present, and obviously your future, and the person who you are wanting to have a relationship with. They have to have different qualities. They have to have different moral values. They have to have a different thinking on life. And so I think we have to be very careful that we don't fall into cycles, because that's what we're used to.
Yeah, and I think there's something about humans, I guess, in our survival mode that we innately maybe have a way of saying that looks like pain, or where I've found pain, stay away from it. And I remember I did something really dumb when I first saw you. We were both signing up for our college classes, and you must have caught my eye.
Yep. I love the story.
Yeah, you said that lots of confidence there. I'm very excited about that. And I just remember you had your hair curly that day, and my girlfriend before you had curly hair.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I'm not into that girl. Like I thought, how broken am I? Like just any girl with curly hair, like I'm in. And so I stayed away from you. Now that just speaks to where I was. But I think to give that story as a sense of framework that people will be like, oh, well, I've been with someone that was confident. And that is narcissism or confidence.
Yeah.
It's also confidence, you know?
Yes.
And they're not the same thing. And I think you got to be really careful to diagnose when you don't have a degree. And I think you got to watch TikTok diagnoses. And I think you got to just make sure you process what's baby and what's bathwater, you know?
That's good.
And making sure you don't throw out both. And that honestly is a testament to healing.
Yes.
And maybe there's something to be said about if you have the option is maybe try heal as best as you can before you try to get hitched, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're in it, man, get some good people around you. And I think this, I would put a good measure for good people around you and good friends is not how many supporters you have, but how many people actually have told you something that might jeopardize a relationship, but make you better.
Yes. You said this week at our staffy, and you said, say the thing.
Say the thing.
Say the thing.
Yep.
And I think since we're talking relationships, let's talk a little bit about friendships, because I think naturally we gravitate to people that support and that are all about us and that are our biggest cheerleader. But you need the people in your life that are going to tell you that you're not right and you're falling apart. And the thing you keep doing that keeps putting you in cycles is not okay. You need those friends in your life.
I think if there's anything that social media and sport and fame, observing those under the limelight has taught us is that that fans aren't necessarily friends and are rarely friends. And the Bible says that faithful are the wounds of a friend and deceitful are the kisses of an enemy.
Yep.
And I think we live in this thing where truth makes you a hater.
Yep.
We have convoluted the concept of love, acceptance, and agreeance.
Yep.
We've basically said that if you love me, you agree with me. And they call it acceptance, but it can't be acceptance because acceptance only should exist if you and I disagree and I still accept you. And that is a stronger premise for love.
Yeah.
And we end up gravitating to the fans and to the fan club. And the problem with that is you basically end up like on American Idol thinking you can sing, but you can't. And it's because everybody's told you you're awesome. Or your friends have gotten around you and told you, yeah, you're right. He was the problem or she was the problem. And the problem was that you were part of the problem. And so I think you got to make sure. I just ask anybody who in the last 12 months, has anybody told you anything truthful that may hurt a little and send you and maybe further you?
I call it the stubbed toe friend. You know, you stub your toe and it hurts like, oh my gosh, you know, the most
it's true.
horrible things come out of your mouth in that moment because it hurts so bad, but it doesn't last long. It's just for a moment. And I think you need friends that are going to be like, hey, like get yourself right, you know?
Yep.
And
there's a lot of that in the world.
I even say to the girls in my world, like, don't call someone your best friend unless you've had a fight. Do your first fight. Have a fight. Have a fight. Have a disagreement. Have a moment where you don't see eye to eye on something. And I think whatever you have left is basically what you can build on and what the friendship consists of.
I think there's something kind of creepy about only being in environments of agreeance. Like you all kind of, it's like, what's that movie where like they move into a neighborhood and all the wives wore the same clothes? I don't know if it was.
It's a creepy one. I know which one you're talking about. Remember. Yeah.
I don't even know. It just seems like a concept. Maybe not. But the thing is that it's creepy, I think, if everybody thinks exactly the same. And I think if you can only be friends with people like that, I love watching TLSU and seeing that, the faculty has different views theologically on things, and yet they do things together. Some of them, even I think they've with the church they're running have different viewpoints, but the main fundamentals are there.
Yes.
And I think, what are the main rails of friendship? Are they like truth, growth, God, moving towards vision, being honest? They're good rails. You can have absolute different interests, but man, get some people in your life that will tell you how it is. Otherwise, you will literally be what I call the tortured genius, where like you're waiting for people to realize that, oh my God, why doesn't anybody realize how awesome I am? Why do I only find the crazy people to date? Yeah. And it's like, well, you know, maybe you're just like attracting like, and there's something for you to know. So I think that's huge. Get someone to tell you the real honest truth.
Yep. Okay.
Actually, I'll say this as the last little phrase. Get someone who's willing to hurt your feelings to protect your future. That's what I think matters.
Yeah, write that down. That's good. Okay. I want to ask, what is your counseling in regards to intimate partner violence? What is a partner? Okay, it says, what if a partner has borderline personality disorder and has narcissistic tendencies without a formal diagnosis?
I mean, I'll start from the end of the question, which is borderline personality disorder can be one of the hardest things to get a diagnosis on, because getting that person into a room can be very, very difficult.
Yep.
And it is one of the things in my experience in the mental health space that can take the longest to reveal itself, because it can manifest in very plausible stories and narratives, and it is one of the most challenging things to go through. And so I think, again, I would say this, rewinding the clock a bit, and if you can then build this around you if you haven't, is the idea of dating well is dating in front of people that know you well, know them well, willing to hurt your feelings to protect your future. When you date in front of people that know you, they know both of you, and now like there's something that can be done. I think too many people choose to live in isolation in the protection of an island and the safety and comfort of an island. And then once things aren't working, seek help. Yeah. But what happens with that, this is my same theory on people that switch small groups, people that switch churches all the time, is that every time you switch, the database is getting built again. And people can't speak to something without some understandings. Some of my best bits of advice have come from friends that have said, I know you, Chris, and this is a pattern, or this is a thing. And so I think if you can have people that you walk your marriage out with that are around you, that can actually become a sounding board, you know what I mean? And it can be help. Outside of that, I would try build it. I would try bring things into, maybe go seek therapy together, see if you can get something to be a bit more formalized on that side. Yeah,
but this kind of sounds a little...
The beginning is worrisome.
It's scary.
Yeah, the beginning's a problem.
If
we're interpreting it right. Like, I don't know, how are you taking that first statement?
Well, it's saying that there's some
violence and intimacy, basically, like sexual violence type thing?
Yes, sexual violence.
Yeah.
So I think we've all been taught, or we were taught, that the marriage bed, whatever you agree on and whatever I agree on, as far as
it's Hebrews 13 verse 4. Marriage bed is undefiled. And, I think in the new NIV it says the marriage bed is to basically maintain it pure.
Yes.
And so it's kind of talking about consent. Well, that's one thing you could bring into that is consent, biblical boundaries.
Right.
So obviously pretty much most things go as long as there's not someone else in that bedroom. It's not immoral.
Yep.
It's up to the two of you type thing.
Yep.
But I don't think that violence leaves the marriage bed undefiled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is kind of, I know some people, it could get rough. They might both be into that.
Yeah.
But just saying.
Yeah.
But if this is something that's happening from the other side, I don't think that's not it. And to the point where you're asking the question, I think you should seek help.
Yeah.
I think you should talk to them about it. I think you should actually get professional help if you're threatened in any way.
Yes.
I think you should get out of there. And hopefully you've said the thing. Sometimes in the fear of rocking the boat, people don't say things. And that's the worst thing, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll be praying for you. I know that's genuinely, I had some friends go that. We've had friends go through that.
Yep.
And both with a personality disorder, it's rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, praying that you get some people, reach out to someone. Don't do it alone.
For sure.
That's what I think.
I don't know if I want to segue into this off the back of this question, but like the journey of sex. So when you first get married, right?
Someone asked the question, how was sex for you when you got married? They went just for you, not for me.
Yeah, they did actually.
It was.
We can get to that a little bit later, maybe.
Okay.
I'm getting nervous. It's too much. Do you guys want to hear this? Is this okay? All right.
I'll answer for you. It was amazing.
It was great.
It was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
I mean, God. Okay.
It's kind of weird because your cousin's behind the camera right
He
now.
is behind the. It's fine.
He's rocking back and forth, holding his ears.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. What was it? We went off track for a second.
We did go off track.
And we're gonna come back to it.
And we're gonna come back.
Cheers.
So, yeah. So let's generalize it, and then we can get a little bit more personal with it. But you know, in the topic of sex, and when you first get married, or you know, and you're experimenting and you're getting to know each other in this context of sex. Like, I don't know. I want to talk about this. I think it's important. You're like, oh, let me.
Tell me more.
I think it should get better. And I think it does get better. Yes. You know, I think from my experience, maybe some people in the room or that are listening to this can relate. But, you know, for me, it was a new thing. And I mean, our first time was pretty interesting. It was good, but there were some funny moments in it. And I think it was just chemistry, trying to figure it out.
All
you know,
it
was just a lot of things happening.
It was a mess.
It was a mess.
We didn't know
we were not, there was no coordination whatsoever. It was all over the place. But it felt, I felt so comfortable and I felt safe. Yep. And I didn't feel like, don't look at me, or this is weird. Or if anything, it was almost like we laughed so much because we were in it together, and there was a commitment to just go all in and not to like hide behind anything. But it was like, here we are, you know? But I think about that. That was 17 years ago. And I think about that journey, and it does get better.
Well, I can never quote the study, right? But like there was a study that was said that I read that the best sex is in marriage because sex is such a vulnerable thing that as people get to know each other more, the comfort to explore, the comfort to be open is there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you obviously learn each other's preferences and all the things. And so that becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it makes total sense. And I think it is that. I think...
I was very like a prude though. Although I was free and very much there and I felt comfortable because it was you, but I was just figuring things out. And I was like, I was learning about it. And I think for me, I never struggled with pornography. I never struggled with, you know, any of that stuff growing up. So I literally had the most innocent mind when it came to sex in a way, right? Like I wanted it. As a teenager, your body's going through all the changes, you know, and you're wanting that closeness to another human being, right? And although it was messy and it was all over the place in a way, I wasn't disappointed because I felt like, no, we're in this forever. Yeah. And we're going to go through this
something
journey.
to explore and journey together.
Yeah. I think the exploring part was so amazing. And I think that that's something that you also have to protect. That's something you also have to make sure you make time for, because when we have 4 kids, our oldest is 15, our youngest is 7. We decided to launch a church and also build a family all together. So it was it was hard time. So that side of things can definitely be put in the back burner, but you have to prioritize that.
What do you say to people that are married and have different sexual drives? What happens there?
Yeah. I don't know. Is that an answer? Is that an acceptable answer? I don't know.
I don't know. Figure it out.
Well, I think...
But it's just a reality.
But it is. I think you have to figure it out. You have to talk. You have to, you know, if there's one of you that's prone to wanting to have sex more consistently and the other is okay not to, I think that's going to cause an issue. It's going to cause some concerns.
And seasons change.
And seasons change.
If you've just had a baby and over the years, all the things, I think all those things are the things that you don't always hear about, but they're part of it. And I think, it's just I think it's a good question.
I think talk about it as much as possible. And you just got to get to know each other. And I think it's also what you spoke about a couple of weeks ago. When you come into a marriage, it's all about serving and it's all about giving. And it's, you know, and I'm on a journey with that even, you know, we all are. And so I think as long as you have that fundamental where you guys can talk and there's that understanding where, no, I'm here for you. And I think what happens, you come into a marriage and there's this self-preservation, like I need to think about me and this is about me and you fight for me and the other person does the same and you're literally fighting against each other to preserve self. But if you come in with the understanding that I'm here to serve you and love you and you come in with that same intensity, I think you can form something beautiful.
I think one of the things as well is like, don't be dismissive. Like, don't downplay what I think whenever this subject comes up. I think obviously a lot of people might feel comfortable to talk about it, but like making sure that when it is spoken about, it is something that you dive into and you don't just dismiss it, because you see a lot of like over the years we've been speaking to people and it's just a lot of like, well, I've said that, but they just didn't listen, or I've said that, but they didn't care, or I've said that, and almost like, you know, like sexual drive being like a go figure yourself out, not realizing that God created sex. It's part of intimacy. It's how many people connect. It's how the one consummating act in a marriage, all the way from the beginning of the concept of marriage to now. It's huge. There's covenant that happens. There's all sorts of things to become one. It is a knitting together. There's just so much to it. And to downplay that subject, I think not good sex won't make a good marriage, but a good marriage will create good sex. And I think to the people that have this whole idea of like, oh, what about try before you buy? I don't think you have to worry about that at all, because at the end of the day, if you want to know how good the marriage is, how good is the sex? And when the sex is good, it's because the marriage is good. But just good sex alone will not make a marriage last, because what you're addicted to is an act that you can find anywhere. But when you're actually invested in a marriage because you won't go elsewhere, you now get the benefit of good sex in that as well. And that, I think, is the goal more than anything. So I think that's kind of some thoughts on that.
That's great. It's good stuff. Whew.
Appreciate you, love.
I was sweating a little bit on that, but I'm good now. I think we're going to be okay.
So good.
Okay. So, next question. Okay. So there's someone here that's experiencing, they've made a decision for a great reset in their life. They're changing careers in a month. They're starting a new business. They're in the process of getting out of debt, which they'll be out of in 2 to 3 months. They have a child, no longer with the mother, and been on a self-development journey for over a year and is afraid to bring somebody into their world. So finances, so funding my own business, having to pay off debt and child support. He doesn't have, or they, I don't know if it's a he or she, but, oh yeah, it is a he, it's father. Okay. They don't have a lot of money laying around for dates until the career changes. So how do I go about this? with my son being in the picture, and how do I pursue being in a relationship? Should I put a hold on it, or should I go all in on it?
What do you think? Just because all the questions have come at me.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
pass the paper.
Pass the paper. All right. There you go.
All right. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think on that one?
So I think in that situation, you could find a person that would be okay with your circumstances.
Yeah.
You can find somebody that's okay with everything happening in your life, and that person could totally just fit right into your life and have no expectation that you're going to go above and beyond what you can give in that season. But you have to find her. You have to find that person.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of relationship can be forged in friendship first. Just go and be friends. Go meet people. Go and have coffees. Go do hangs after church. Go and hang out in groups and see what sort of friendships will come out of that. And maybe from a really great friendship, a good relationship can form from that. A person who knows your situation, a person that can feel you in that situation. There might be a lot of grace for him in that situation. Yeah. Because he's in that situation. Yeah. So I don't think it has to be complicated.
No, I think it as well. I wouldn't go around turning everyone away, like every girl away, but maybe I would personally wait until you got some other things in order, just because it seems like you got a lot going. You got some good momentum. I think protecting momentum at all costs. I think you kind of look like you've got other aspects in your life together, and you got a son, and that's filling and fueling a lot of your relational tank. So 3 months is not long to wait. Clear something up, and I think it does help you get to that next place. So
I think it's wisdom.
Yeah, right? It is.
Like wisdom.
You don't want to be legalistic with it.
Right. And wisdom navigates the gray. And we think life is all about balance. I think wisdom is what helps us just keep things in order and gives us that fresh perspective. Yeah. And that also that making decisions kind of like power, right? Yeah. To these like really big life decisions that we have to make. Wisdom.
Yeah. So we've got 2 questions here kind of in the same vein. And one is like, how do you deal with sexual desires when you're single, and wanting to honor God with your bodies and waiting for marriage? And another one is actually for you, I'd love to hear how Pastor Ords go deeper about experiencing and leading up to choosing a partner. Did you ever feel tempted to have sex before marriage? And basically, was it what you imagined it to be?
Yeah. So
do you get design? Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, I think people think that if you're a pastor, somehow you've arrived there because you have no human propensities. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
no.
You're like, no desires. You're just too holy.
No. Yeah.
Recite the word as you sneeze. I don't know why that one, but I don't know. It just came out, really.
It's okay.
What are your thoughts?
So can you just read one question? Because you go so fast. Sometimes I can't keep up. So what's the first question I'm answering?
Yes. How to deal with sexual desires when single and wanting to honor God and our bodies and future marriage.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's hard. It's hard because I think the heart and the body wants what it wants. And I think the worst thing you can do is put yourself in a position where that's on offer. So you have to know your propensity. You have to know that you're weak. You have to know that if you go to this person's house, or if you're in the car long enough, or you've go on that date, or if you, whatever, you have to know what your boundaries are, and you have to stick with them. Yeah. Because if you cross boundaries, when you cross that boundary, that line that you just crossed becomes the boundary for the day. And then if you cross that boundary, you're getting further and further away from the initial boundary. So you have to sometimes say no to things, and you have to sustain from things and withdraw from things, because it's just not safe. You're going to end up falling, or you're going to have a moment of weakness. Yeah. And I think that we have to use wisdom. And I think that not a lot of people want to do that because they just want to live their life. They want to have freedom. They want to do whatever they want with their bodies, or they just make really poor decisions when they're in the heat of the moment. Like when you're kissing a guy and there's groping and there's just like feeling up on each other. Like, guys, that's danger zone. Like, get out of there. Like, like phone a friend, have some, if you're like.
I'm being gross. Right now there is feeling, there is groping. I need help. Someone come get me.
Okay.
Friends carry you out.
On a gurney.
That was close, guys. That was close. What would the sirens sound like?
Your answers are so much better than mine.
No, they're
but
not.
I'm just
a clown and I just can't focus sometimes. But it was the phone a friend that got me. I was just thinking, how do you...
Okay, well, let me qualify that, because what I mean by that is that if you have good friends in your life and you're going on a date or you're going somewhere you shouldn't, you should tell your friend that you're doing that thing.
Yeah.
And you want that accountability. So if you're in a place where you're being compromised, you're compromising.
Guys, I'm being compromised. Get to me quick, stat. My date is compromising me. Hate it. Hate being compromised. Wouldn't mind being no. I'll go too
okay.
far. All right.
You answer the question now.
No, I did it, didn't I? I ruined it. I ruined the moment. I was going to say just that I agree with you on everything. The phone a friend, I'm just too immature, but it is true. I did tell my friends, hey, I'm going out with odds. This is what we're doing. Like, just, you know, I don't know. I was just like, wanted to do it right. I don't know.
Okay, so
but yeah, I would say just don't put yourself places. I think too many people think you graduate above it. Like you're so holy, you're so spiritual that apparently you could just be there and nothing's gonna happen. Like, listen,
no.
I think if you could be there without ever having a desire, I think that's a problem.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when we were dating, Chris, it was hard. It was hard for me.
You're only human.
You know, we could not be left alone in the car because it was just like, it was
I'd be driving and you'd be like jumping over and it was crazy. I was like, we're going to crash.
Okay, calm down.
Crash, phone a friend. All right. Quick. Out they came with a gurney or just carried off till next week.
Oh, dear.
Calm down there, woman. All right, sorry. We're getting, it's getting late. But yeah, we did. We got to the point. This is what I think is always interesting is like, I tell people, and I've been talking to like our sons about it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, our sons.
Yeah, I know.
Praying for our sons. They're good and they're just, you know.
No, my daughter's never dating.
They're going to grow up and they're going to have to experience all this stuff. And it's a scary world out there.
Marry the church of the Lord. And that's
pray for your pastors. Pray for us, guys. Okay.
So I blacked out for a second and I can't remember what just happened. But yeah, I was telling the boys, and I tell anyone I lead, like, I think that you've got to pace yourself. If you don't want to, like, basically have sex before marriage, you've got to have realistic goals of marriage. Like, when people come up to me in church and they're like, oh, we've been dating for 7 years and we're not sleeping together. I'm like, lies.
No,
Liar. No. Boo.
You're doing something.
Liar. You're doing something, but you're just doing not enough of it that makes you think it's not sex. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
There's always that one. It's like, oh, well, we only, you know.
Right.
We're just naked together.
I think with us, when I was weak and when I was like in a moment of just weakness, right? You were strong and you're like, no odds. Let's uphold our commitment to this.
I'd already messed up. Like as I just got saved and I became a small group leader and I was like, I went down that route. I got stood down. I remember that season pretty vividly.
Yeah.
And I've got them on my phone. And then when I got with you, I really wanted to get it right. And I think the biggest thing was we both had the same conviction.
Yes.
I think I see a lot of people date where one person has the conviction and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm just trying to honor my friend, but he's a bit of shoulder, you know, like, and it's like, no, it's gonna go down. Like it's gonna happen. And you and I both had conviction. We also were like youth pastors at the time. So like we knew that if we messed up, like there was a lot of collateral.
Yes.
And I didn't want to stand in front of like people and just get that wrong if we could just get some wisdom. So at the beginning, like we could spend all the time in the world together because we were just too nervous. We were probably somewhere else in our minds. But then and this is again a testament to why sex is better in marriage, as comfort increases, so does the desire, the propensity, and the ability to feel comfortable with like that kind of like openness and vulnerability.
Yeah.
And so there came a point where towards the end, before we got married, it was like stupid. It was like we couldn't even be anywhere together. You know, it's like, all right, taking you home, off you go. Like, and it was so horrible. I think the thing we loved most, if you remember when we first got married, was I don't have to take you home.
Yeah.
It was part of the other, the sex as well, but it was also like the inconvenience that it created. And I think too many people I hear go, oh man, it's inconvenient to move out. It's inconvenient to like put boundaries. And it's like, yeah, cool. Of course it is. But at the end of the day, you either believe in something or you don't, and just do it, just walk it out. And if you have gone too far, reel it back in. You'll be thankful. There is great, you can restore certain elements. And I think that it's healthy. It's healthy to not build a physical relationship before you establish a really good, like, spiritual, mental kind of connection.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go through seasons. As we've said, 4 kids, different things.
Yeah.
I think that's what I think on that one.
Yeah.
What were your expectations?
Expectations.
That's it. That was the second question. Okay. How did you do the journey towards dating, waiting? You mentioned in the first one, waiting to pick the right one. Were you tempted to have sex before marriage? And then was sex what you thought it would be?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there were moments that I was tempted with it to have sex. But I was too scared. I was petrified to go there. I mean, growing up, you just hear horror stories of like what sex is and the first time. And, I think back then the church wasn't really talking about. I mean, we did this whole purity thing and don't have sex before marriage and wait.
That's apparently a thing now, isn't it? It's like a bad thing apparently.
It is.
People saying.
And so it was almost like if I did this, then my whole life is going to be ruined and destroyed. You'll never get that back. And it was just such a negative connotation. So
you grew up more around like a holiness kind of that era as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I think to a degree I'm thankful for it because it
good principles.
Literally put the fear of God in me in that way. So I was really scared to mess up. I was really scared to explore like that. But was that desire there? Yes. And it was getting stronger and stronger. But I just wanted for that desire to be shared with somebody that I was going to spend my life with. Yeah. And, I kissed boys and I probably flirted a little bit too much with the boundaries of what was acceptable and whatnot. But I thank God for the Holy Spirit at a young age. I thank God for the conviction. I thank God that I listened and I could hear my parents in the back of my mind. I can hear, and it wasn't condemnation. It was just, don't sell out. Like, hold on. Like, there's more for you. But at the same time, I wish we would have talked about it a little bit more. I wish.
What would have changed if you did, you think?
I think I wouldn't have been so afraid of it when we got married. I'm not afraid of it. That's not the good word. I think I came in just I didn't know anything. Like there was like this.
And the prudish thing, you think?
Prudish
maybe
innocence, And then I remember some of my friends, they did this lingerie party and I'm opening up all these gifts and there's all this lingerie and it's just like overwhelming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have sex. And it's like, am I going to know what to do? And this is a lot of pressure and this is my first time. But I was excited because I'm excited for that too. But there was just all these emotions that just were just swirling in my mind. And I mean, I don't think it impacted our intimacy. I just always felt comfortable with you. I just, like the chemistry was there. And
I think what impacted our sex more than anything was just us getting our relationship right.
Yeah, for sure.
Me not crushing you with my words and just being me. It was like a thing. So that's really, I had a question though for you. I thought we've only got a few minutes left. And you said in the previous podcast that, you had self-esteem issues, but I've also never found you to have value issues. And I felt like part of your story, hearing like we know everything about each other. We know every like previous partner. We know all the things. And like it never felt like you lacked value and gained it through attention. I mean, yes, it was nice, it was good, it was affirming, but it never put you to a point where you compromised where you wanted to be. And I see that a lot of people, I think a lot of girls that we've pastored and people, like women in general, have struggled with that portion. Like, if I don't do that, then I won't keep this guy. And also a sense of like validation and in being desired and being found captivating in a sense. Like, what are your thoughts on that? How did you, is that true? I think you were had a good sense of value.
I think the crazy thing about that is that, and I used to think that, I used to say, why would somebody like me? Like, why would somebody find me attractive? And I struggled with that because I didn't believe it, you know? And I've never been one to be consumed with beauty and to be consumed with the mirror and be consumed with just always having to look a certain way and be thin. And I've never been someone that's consumed by those things. And because of it, I just thought I wouldn't be the stereotypical girl that a guy would like. And I think that's why, like, in the church world, I think I was a little bit more more attractive to guys because I was this good girl and I was innocent and I was this and I was humble and I just didn't think about myself in the way that the other girls did. But I also just knew that I wasn't going to settle for that and I wasn't going to settle for this either. So there was like a foundation there. Fundamentally, there was values there that I was sticking to. And I just was hopeful that one day I would find the right guy that would just compliment me. But I never went out looking for it because guys used to scare me. And I also was shy and I didn't believe that I was worth that pursuit. And I don't know where that comes from. And I think I've been on a journey. We've talked about this. I've been on this like self-worth, self-esteem journey for probably a year now. And I'm still discovering, in discovery mode there. Do I feel valuable? Do I feel loved and cherished? And do I feel like I'm worthy of all of those things? Yes. But sometimes it's like almost like this belief, yes, but all the things that form that belief, they're just unknown to me. So that's where I'm at.
Wow. It's crazy that it's still going on.
It's still going on. And that's the thing. We're all on a journey.
Always on a journey.
You're always working on yourself. You're always discovering things about yourself. We don't arrive. We're all just this work in progress.
Yeah. That's good, Oz, because I think so many people think, when will the growth stop? And they feel discouraged that they're in a growth season and you're never going to not be in one. I think that's the bigger alarm if you're not in one, because you got to keep growing. You got to keep moving. So it's been good. It's been fun. It's another week comes to an end.
Another week
We'll
comes
see what the future brings. We started this to just do relationships and talk about it. We're not sure if this will continue, if we'll keep doing a podcast. Maybe we will. Give us your thoughts. What would you love us to speak about? We're pretty okay with being pretty open and honest. So if there's anything and everything, we've planted a church for years now, been around a lot of things from churches crumbling, knowing people that have fallen all the way through to starting something in a major city and all the things through to kids, addictions, all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of things.
So if there's anything you want to know, maybe we'll continue it. If not, we'll see where this leads.
It's been nice having you all. And when in doubt, phone a friend.
Get the gurney.
Get the gurney.
Get the friends. Get the ambulance. And that's our cue to leave. All right. Have a good one.